I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. The first order of business will be to adjourn briefly to take advantage of some of the refreshments that we have, and then I will call you back into order when it's time to begin the meeting. Thank you. Enjoy some refreshments.
Yes, please help yourself.
To end the session, I'm going to turn over the lectern to our president, Deborah Campbell.
Thank you, everyone. I just want to take a brief moment to welcome everyone, our members as well as our guests. We're so glad that you could join us today for our special awards meeting called the Toasties. At this time, because we're still trying to compact everything into a 1-hour meeting, I am going to turn it over to our Master of Ceremonies, which in Toastmasters we call Toastmaster of the Day, and that is Captain James Carr.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. What an auspicious occasion to be before you. That's our word of the day. Every time we use it, we kind of knock on wood there, to recognize it as auspicious. The first thing I'd like to do is to recognize the guests that we have here today from the police department, and also a CTM and a person who has served as one of the secretaries, Major Don Harmon. Yeah. Major Don Harmon is the assistant chief. Major Harmon is the assistant chief for operations, and she is our first woman major. Also from the police department, we have Lieutenant Neil Miller. Lieutenant Miller is my deputy. He serves with me in the Administrative Services Bureau. Welcome, Neil. Also from the police department, we have Patricia Carr. Patricia Carr is also my wife of 39 years so far. So we will celebrate an auspicious occasion in November.
Possibly.
Patty's assigned to the Warrant Control Unit of the Police Department. Also to her left, or your right, is doctoral candidate Michelle Ann Carr Young.
Oh, wow.
She's also a teacher for a short time longer at Forest Park, and she's been recruited to Patriot High School, where she will teach AP courses for 9th and 11th graders. Welcome, Michelle. From Fire and Rescue, representing Chief Clemens, we have Chip Morrison. Chip, he's captain now. From Training and Development, we have Amy Brush. Okay. And also from Watershed Management, we have Robert Jose. Okay. On today's agenda, it's a little bit of a change on how we normally do things. I am honored and humbled to be before you today. I consider it to be a privilege to also be serving as Toastmaster and also Master of Ceremonies for the awards to follow. What we're going to have first is we'll have two speakers. Our speakers will be Sharice Boyd and Nicholas Baskerville. And the evaluators for these two, if you can stand and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. I'm Bob Buchanan and guests. I'm Bob Buchanan. I'll be evaluating speaker number 1, who is Sharice Boyd. Sharice is doing project number 3 from the Confident Communicator Manual, and that's in the category of Get to the Point. We'll be looking to see how her speech is organized, the purpose of her speech, and how well she gets her point across.
Thank you, Bob.
Good afternoon, I'm Shana Terry, and I will be evaluating Nick. Nick will be working on project number 6, which is vocal variety, and in this project, Nick will be focusing on his tone, pitch, and rate to make sure that it enhances his message and vocal variety.
Thank you, Shane. Our timer for today and grammarian is Randy Earl. Randy.
As timer, I will be looking for the speakers to stay within their parameter. I will be sending them different visual cues so they know when they've met the minimum, when they're getting ready to reach the maximum, and I will report at the end of today's meeting how they did in those areas.
Thank you.
Well,
My error. All right, Tracy, go ahead. Tracy Chase.
Hi everyone, I'm Tracy and I'm going to be the grammarian today. I'm going to be looking for punctuation and counting the ahs. This is my first time doing this, so this is a training experience for me, so hopefully I do well.
Our general evaluator will be Denise Sherlock.
Good afternoon and welcome to our guest. I'm going to be the general evaluator. I'm going to have the evaluators bring up and do their evaluation speeches, and then after that is done, we'll get a report from the timer, the grammarian, and then I will give an overall report of the entire meeting. Thank you.
Our very first speaker will be. I'd like to present to you Denise Sherlock. Denise will be. I'm sorry. Reese. That was a test. Okay. Roles and responsibilities. Management, disaster role, management role and responsibilities.
Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome everyone. Today I would like to talk to you all about something that many people don't pay attention to. In this room we have a few that will because of their field of service, but on average, who are America's stakeholders? According to Webster's, the stakeholder is a person or business that has invested money or something as such. I disagree. I think a stakeholder is anyone who has any vested interest whatsoever. And by a show of hands, I would like to ask how many people remember where they were, what they were doing on September 11, 2001? Okay, put your hands down. How about August 29, 2005? Okay, so I'm going to see how much more we remember. March 24, 1998. Next slide, please. September 11th, the towers were hit in New York. August 29th, this here several days after, in the picture below, is Hurricane Katrina at the Superdome. And this here was Columbine, an 18 and 17-year-old shot up a school and killed 5 people, causing a massacre. No one could have predicted any of these things. But people did plan these things, at least 2 of the 3, the third one is in the air. However, less than a year before this, an 11-year-old and 13-year-old shot up a school in Arkansas, Jonesboro, Arkansas. A 13 and 11-year-old that had never been heard of. A year later, that happened. So why were we not prepared? Next slide, please. One, most people are not prepared for emergencies, and these are grand examples. Let me start with that. But most people aren't prepared because there's doubt. It would never happen to me, it can't happen to me, oh, that happened there, it won't happen twice. Lightning does strike in the same place twice, you can Google it. Resources, government, they don't have the money, they don't have the time, they don't have the people, they don't have the critical infrastructure, they don't have the education. People do not have the faith in others. All these things are resources. And lastly, comfort level. I check my batteries twice a year in my smoke detector, my cell phone works, and I have gas in my car. We've got water. We're comfortable. We'll be okay if the lights go out. Unfortunately, those are not enough. The next slide, please. What can we do? And it's really simple. It's 3 things. Because when you check your battery, you're doing it. When you call the police, when you see a stranger in your neighborhood, you're doing it. You are being aware. You're bewaring of your circumstances and situations, and you're prepared. So situational awareness, we must maintain at all times. At the school where the shootings took place, people said these children were troubled. I don't know, I'm not a psychologist. 9/11, people said that there were signs prior to. I don't know, I was not aware. But in the hurricane, many people were aware it was coming. But what happened? There was a comfort level. The resources were depleted. Resources were reallocated prior to. But we as people, if we were there, I do know people who were at 9/11 in the buildings. I'm originally from New York. I worked for LaGuardia, American Airlines for years. So I have friends who were at Port Authority, police officers, and friends at the Sheriff's Department. Hurricane Katrina, I worked for Chef Emerald during that time. People came and they fled to our restaurant for shelter, safety, anything you can imagine. And then the shooting, the day the shooting took place, it was my first day registering my daughter for school, kindergarten. So those days were very familiar to me. And April 20th, 1998 is when Columbine took place. I also remember when I found out about the shooting, I was on the phone wishing my sister happy birthday. So those days are very memorable to me, some of those events. Prior to these events, I used to be in project management. And I decided at that point, after all these things and other disasters, how can I do something? What can I do to be prepared? My ex-husband was a police officer, so he used to make us have drills at night with like smoke detectors going off. And he was like, no, don't turn the lights on. And we'd have to climb out the window. We had a little throw ladder. I thank him for that because no one I really know has ever done that. And it was annoying, especially with a baby. But I thank him. And he kind of was a little paranoid about the events, but he'd seen accidents, he'd seen things. So at that point, I kind of changed my life and I decided to go into emergency disaster management. I found out that the best thing I could do was learn as much as I could and teach as many as I can. I can't be at every event, but I have volunteered after certain disasters, and Katrina was a big one. So, next slide, please. I feel that I'm a stakeholder in America. I have rights, I have responsibilities. Ironically, they're almost the same. My rights are to protect my family, myself, and my property. My other right is to have the same expectations from local government and federal and state agencies to protect me. And my right to make a difference, meaning not to become a victim or to reduce the amount of loss of anything. Same for responsibilities. My rights are my responsibilities. The next slide. So what I tell everyone, and this is part of my speech, have a plan. Have a plan. Knowledge is power. The simplest things, Hurricane Katrina, listen and watch the weather reports. Lives could have been saved. Follow emergency broadcast directions. They could have evacuated better. Know your local emergency policies and procedures. What are you doing right here in Prince Williams? If everything was to cut off right now, cell phones didn't work, lights went out, cars didn't work, radios didn't work, what would you do? You would just be at a loss for communication. You wouldn't be really at a loss for the resources you need to survive. However, we become comfortable, so we are not always prepared. Know your hospitals and evacuation routes. You don't want to clog up on the highways because you're going somewhere that doesn't lead to anything. If you listen to the radios, you'll know these things. Memorize family phone numbers. I do not know anyone's phone numbers but my mother's, my daughter's, and my fiance's, and Chief's. I know these cell phone numbers by heart. learn them. We become cell phone stupid, you know. It's in there, just look for John and it'll dial 555. Know your addresses and phone numbers. Keep cache and duplicate of all documents. These are the simplest things you can do if you can't prevent a disaster, because if you keep them waterproof, I've worked at places, I volunteer with Red Cross, your documents are the most important thing. People don't have them in fires and waterproof, they get damaged or they don't have them in a safe box. It's hard to get help once a disaster has happened if you do not have the resource, your identification. They have to establish who you are first. So with that being said, the next one, knowledge is power, and I give everyone these resources. Each of these sites right here will give you information you need for your own home, for work safety, and for travel safety. If you have an accident on the car, there's actually information if you have an accident on the vehicle, what to do, or if you go over a bridge in the water. These are all emergencies that are small scales. But the ones that are large scales, if they had followed those same rules that I just gave you, or those simple things, a lot of lives would have been saved. So my suggestion is to you is learn as much as you can. Teach someone, tell your children how to follow it up in school. Schools have a lot of resources as well. Emergency management is everyone's responsibility to mitigate where you can. And I also ask that after this, now of course you don't have to go to these websites. I was going to tell you, you can just read all this here, come to school or come to my house and read 200,000 books. But that's if you want to be in detail and obsessed like I am. Simplified and easy for us to learn and participate and to do at home on our own are those things. Thank you.
Wow, be prepared. I'm glad I'm in the right field. I was right there with you. My wife gets on me a lot of times for having books. I have a big library. But I know where you're coming from. Very good information. Thank you. Our second speaker of the day will be Nick Baskerville. Nick's speech is, and this is an awesome title, What Toastmasters Has Done for Me. I can feel it. I can feel it. Nick.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and any county employee here who's looking for a return on investment. I can sum up for you in one word what Toastmasters has done for me. Improvement. But it's Toastmasters. We don't do anything in one word. So I'm going to take a moment to go through what I call some Emerald moments. You remember Emerald, don't you? He was a chef, he's on TV, he had the different cooking things here, and just when you thought everything was settled, bam! He kicked it up a notch. Toastmasters has helped me kick up a notch, not my speaking, but my communications. But before I go into where I started and how I got there, let's remind ourselves who Toastmasters is for. Generally speaking, we understand that if you go to a speaking group, it's because you're shy. You're soft-spoken. But there's a whole host of other people that this group is right for. If you're a person who has trouble giving or receiving feedback, the ideal that I'm going to give you some constructive criticism as I take on the role of a drill instructor at Paris Island, you can come to Toastmasters. Or if you're on the other spectrum, and when you get feedback, you act more like the first round contestant at America's Got Talent. Again, Toastmasters can help you with this. If you've ever been to a staff meeting and the person who's supposed to talk for 5 minutes gives the entire Gettysburg Address, Toastmasters will help you pare them down. If you're the person who happens to talk like this because you think that this is consistent and consistency is good and this is a good thing, we can help with that. Now, fortunately for me, I didn't have these problems. I mean, after all, I'd already been to college, so I took the obligatory speech class, so I understood those parts. Between my fire service career and my military career, I've taught people at one-on-one or in large groups. I was even a supervisor for about 10 years in the military. So I was able to see or able to get feedback from going, yes, good job, awesome, to the other spectrum where I said, yes, it was pretty obvious you spilled an entire can of Coke on the tens of thousands of IT equipment. But if I already know these things, how was it that I was supposed to improve? In the course of 6 months, 6 short months, Toastmasters helped me do exactly what I told you in those emerald moments. Kick it up a notch. Here are some examples. This year, I was in the 2015 Black History Luncheon. I only had 2 or 3 lines. I'm just the extra in the big production. But with the help of Sheena Terry and Christine Hobbs, we made a few changes. I get accolades now months after that. The other time I noticed it here recently in these 6 months, I'm a part of a group of firefighters who went to Capitol Hill. It's called the Congressional Fire Service Institute. And there we talk to people about issues that are important to firefighters. If you want to know if you've got effective communications, sit across the table from a politician who you've got to take this big complex idea, simplify it, tie that person into it, and you got 5 or 7 minutes to do it. Just a typical day at Toastmasters. Now, my most proud accomplishment, I don't mean to brag, but I happen to be the storytelling champ at 1500 Karen Boulevard. That's my house. The competition? Well, there's my oldest daughter who really, I'm pretty glad if she happens to read an article out of a magazine or even just the advertising from TV. Not real competition. But then there's my wife. That's the one, that's the odds-on favorite. The audience? I've got a 3-year-old. Her name officially is Aaliyah Faith Baskerville. But I call her baby girl. Toastmasters taught me how to do things such as adding gestures and pauses and changing my voice. Now when I read Dr. Seuss, there's no one better. What does that have to do with you? How are these things tied to what Toastmasters can do for you? You see, in improving my speech and communications, I improve my confidence. And in improving my confidence, I improve everything else that I touch and do. At some point, as a county employee, you may be called on to talk to the public at large. As a county employee, you may have to speak to your head of your department, the board of county supervisors, or even just another department. At some point, you are all going to be in a staff meeting, and you're going to be secretly rooting for that storytelling champion. I tell you, Toastmasters will give you that return on investment to help you get there. But, like Lotto, you have to be in it to win it. So come on out 2 Thursdays a month and make your initial investment. Just remember, in order to get a return, you have to invest something. Thank you.
Every time that I look at Nick, I am always amazed at how he starts off his speech. It's so awesome, because when he gets up there and he has that pausing moment, you're going, yeah, bring it, baby, bring it. What you got? And he never fails to amaze us. He always closes with call to action. I love that. I love that. Great stuff. All right. What we are going to move to right now is our evaluators. So the evaluator for speech number 1, Bob Buchanan, can you come on up?
Thank you, Mr. President. And fellow Toastmasters, I think we were treated to a very well-developed speech from Sharice Boyd. Get to the point. Her delivery was very calm. She used techniques, I think, that were very good in getting her speech across. She used audience participation. She asked questions of the audience, and we raised our hands in response to her questions. Her speaking voice was very relaxed and calm. It was a bit soft, but we'll work on that. There was no hesitation in her delivery. There were no crutch words, no pauses. And her speech was chock full of information, which really underscored the fact that she was getting to the point. And she talked about situational awareness, and she used natural disasters as the basis of her speech. And we can all relate to national disasters. We've all lived through at least one, which is September 2001. And she told us that we're all stakeholders. She put up a slide that showed rights and responsibilities which we could all relate to. And I thought her ending was very good. Knowledge is power. We all know that. And she left us with a list of websites that we can use to further research some of the points that she made. So overall, I thought it was an excellent speech, and I'm very glad that I was here to see that.
Our next evaluator is going to be Shayna Terry. Shayna, can you come on? Tell us a little bit about taking us back to this.
Afternoon, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our special guest, and Nick. It is a pleasure to evaluate you. In this project, I thought you did a great job of using vocal variety. You had effective pauses. You varied your voice with different tones and pitches. You used all of the appropriate learning strategies all the way from Project 1 to Project 6, an effective opening, body, and close. You use real life examples to connect with your audience. I think all of us in here can say that we connected as county employees, some of us as parents, and all of us as Toastmasters. It's very hard to find something that you can improve upon. Being your mentor, I've worked with you through developing these speeches. The one thing that I did pick up where you could have used a pause instead of using the word "you know." So that's one thing to watch for. Again, I thought you did a great job connecting with your audience using real life examples to show what Toastmasters has done personally for you in your life. Great job.
One thing we always strive to do here in Toastmasters is to provide positive feedback so that we can enhance our skill sets. Because just like Nick said, there's going to be times when we're going to be called upon as a county employee, or maybe we're out in the public and we'll have to do something, a speech or something. So this is a nice, safe environment where we can get that positive feedback that we need in order to improve our skill set. Moving right along, Randy, can you give us your report?
I would be glad to, sir. For the first speech, for Sharice Boyd, her time was 8 minutes, 10 seconds. For speaker number 2, Mr. Baskerville, was 6 minutes, 31 seconds.
For the evaluator of Cerise Boyd, Bob Buchanan, his time was 1 minute 42 seconds. Shannon Terry, who evaluated Nick Baskerville, 1 minute 18 seconds.
Our general evaluator would be Denise Sherlock. Denise? She can, if you would like to, that's fine.
Okay, so general evaluator today, good afternoon to my fellow Toastmasters and welcome to our guests. I'm going to go ahead and let our grammarian give her report before I report out. So Tracy?
Hello, Toastmasters, visitors, and guests. It's a pleasure to have you guys. This was really interesting to me because I had to really listen and focus. And Nick, I was so sort of excited. I said, oh my God, I can't do that. I was excited about your speech because of your interaction, and I was paying attention, so it kind of got me off track just a little bit. But for Cerise Boyd, she had 5 and a notable phrase was knowledge is power. For Nick, he didn't have any of that word that we count. His catchphrases that I thought was catchphrases is kick up a notch, and I don't mean to brag, and storytelling champion. I thought that was really cool. And Mr. Evaluator, you had Toastmasters, Mr. Toastmasters. You had 3 and you used the word of the day twice. And Robert, he didn't have any I wasn't supposed to say it, gosh. Okay, and Shanna, she didn't have any either. And am I supposed to give you guys a total of how many?
What you did is fine.
That's fine. That's it? Okay. Good.
As far as the entire meeting, it was set up and prepared. The room has our banner up front. You can see the Toastmasters. We have the flag presented up front. The word of the day was announced, even though it is not posted up on the boards. The meeting did start on time because we broke immediately for refreshments. The agendas were available. The meeting was run on time. It looks like we're going to have time for the next part of our meeting. And so with that, I'm going to say that it was a great meeting. We had some great speakers and good evaluators. Thank you.
Madam President, would you like to say anything before we move to the next section? Are you going to go ahead? Okay. All right, that concludes our standard programming for today. We're going to move right into our Toasties Awards program. The purpose of the Toasties is to acknowledge the accomplishments of members over the recent 6 months of the Toastmasters year towards the completion of both interim and final designation awards. Today's awards ceremony focuses on the accomplishments of members since the latter part of December in the areas of the Competent Communicator Manual, awards designations of all types, and also mentorship. We are also acknowledging progress in the Competent Leader Manual. First, we have communications, the Communications Manual progress. First up is Nick Baskerville. Nick has steadily moved ahead in his progress towards the Competent Communicator designation. Today, he completed Project 6, for which he is receiving his ribbon. There's a camera there.
You've got it on video.
Yeah.
Since this is the Toasties, I have to put on my boa.
There you go.
You scared Nick there for a second.
All right, next we have, I would like to call up Prem Odell. He has completed his third speech.
Congratulations, Chris.
Put it this way. Put that there. Next, we have Sharice Boyd. Sharice completed her third speech in the Competent Communicator Manual. Next on our agenda is Patsy Ferguson. However, I do not see her, but we want to acknowledge her anyway. Patsy has completed her seventh speech in the Competent Communicator Manual. Next on our agenda is Carol Lane. Carol is also not here. However, Carol has completed her fourth speech in the Competent Communicator Manual. Next, I have the privilege to recognize Miss Christine Hobbs. Distinguished Toastmaster Christine Hobbs has completed her fourth Competent Communicator designation. Next on our agenda is Marie Barnes. Marie is not here. We're recognizing her for Distinguished Toastmaster, and she's completed her second Competent Communicator designation. So we want to congratulate her. As a reminder, did you count that? There are 10 total speeches for the Communications Manual process. Next on our agenda is Competent Communicator Award. The Competent Communicator Award is given at the conclusion of 10 speech projects in the Competent Communicator Manual, all of which build to a successful speech. First, we're recognizing Randy Earl. Randy successfully completed his Competent Communicator with his 10th speech. You see me based on his 10th speech, which was entitled Using Imagination to Help Children. Next on our agenda is Competent Leader Award. This award is given at the conclusion of 10 projects in the Competent Leader Manual. The manual begins with listening, critical thinking, giving feedback. It progresses with time management, planning and implementation, organization and delegation, and facilitation. It continues to build on the foundation of the leader with projects featuring motivation and mentoring. The award is given at completion of the team building project.
I'll call your name. Since Captain Carr is at the top of our list, he has completed the following projects. Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
For progress towards the Competent Leader designation and service as a mentor.
Sometimes look at these things and you're going, that's me. Next on our agenda, it's an honor and a privilege again to recognize Sharice Boyd. Her nickname is Denise. She's completed the following projects in the Competent Leader Manual. Project 1, listening. Project 4, time management. Project 6, organization and delegation. And Project 7, facilitation. Oh, next. I think I know this individual. It is Toastmaster and Toastmasters President, Deborah Cannon. She's completed her second Competent Leader Award. All right. Toastmasters, did you count that one? Toastmasters. Kofi Asiadu. I see. Both working towards their Competent Leader designations. Keisha? So you thought you were going to get out of it. Congratulations. Advanced Communicator Awards. The Advanced Communicator Award is next in the communication track. And for the list of names that I have Noreen Clemenzi, Angela Davis, Jane. They're moving towards their Advanced Communicator Silver designation. Next on our agenda is Advanced Leader Bronze. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. This award is given once a member completes both the Competent Communicator and Competent Leader designations. Do also complete 6 months of service as a club officer. And the recipients are Deborah Campbell, Shana Terry. Advanced Leader Silver designation. This award is given once a member completes the Competent Communicator and Advanced Leader Bronze awards. Served in full term as a district leader, completed the High Performance Leadership Project, and served as a sponsor or mentor of the new club. Toastmaster Angela Davis. Congratulations. Toastmaster Noreen Clemenzi has completed the equivalent of the Advanced Leader Bronze and is pursuing High Performance Leadership, her leadership project.
Oh, you got it, okay, thank you.
Our next category deals with mentoring. Prince William County Toastmasters has distinguished itself in the development of a formal mentoring program with a mentoring liaison. Mentoring is an integral part of the Toastmasters experience and is required for the Competent Leader Award. Prince William County Toastmasters Club's mentors are Mentor Liaison, Distinguished Toastmaster Marie Barnes, which is, she's not here, Deborah Campbell, Dr. James Carr, Noreen Clemenzi, Angela Davis, Christine Hobbs, Mary Johns, and Terry. Club Officer Service. Serving as club officer is a form of servant leadership. Very specific leadership skills are learned through this service. Please give a round of applause to the club officers who have served the club in the current Toastmasters year, which is Deborah Campbell, Angela Davis, Sandy Terry, Marie Clemenzi, Christine Hobbs, and Will. Special Service Awards. The following Toastmasters also contribute to the positive club environment on a routine basis by volunteering for roles or completing special projects for the club. Isabel Samlu, help me.
Isabel, she's not here.
Okay, all right. For maintaining training records. This is a vital role for Toastmasters because without that information, it is not recorded correctly, you don't move forward. So that's a very important role. Gladys Abolita. For producing our name tags. Bob Buchanan. Bob is being recognized for his willingness to fill in for major roles as needed. You can always go to Bob. He's our go-to person. Thank you, Bob. And Denise Sherlock for her willingness to fill in major roles as needed. That concludes our award ceremony. We invite you to stay around. We'd like to talk to you some more, on my part. And I am now turning this portion of our meeting over to our president.
I have one more special award. Toastmasters is all about evaluation and feedback and appreciation and doing what you're called upon to do. And we wouldn't be able to have a Toastmasters organization, and it wouldn't be as vibrant as it is without the support of Prince William County. We actually come under training and development, and as the executive committee, those officers that stood up earlier, we decided that during one of our very first meetings, this is Toastmasters' 90th anniversary and the club's 13th year in existence, and we wanted to do something to show our appreciation. And what we came up with is what we think is a very appropriate donation or gift, if you will. And Amy Brush from Training and Development, if you would come forward. I think think that you've heard from any number of people, Nick during his speech, and as we've talked about what Toastmasters is about, that Toastmasters is a way that we can practice in a very safe environment, communication skills, leadership skills, mentoring skills, and we just really appreciate that opportunity, Amy, because the county does support the members, provides meeting space for us, provides just this opportunity, and we really appreciate that. Not only that, us being a club here at Prince William County, it affords us the ability to make our offices, our meeting conference room spaces available on a broader range when we do things with the area and the district. So I hope that you can see and that our guests can see that Toastmasters is a very worthwhile thing to belong to. We can go to our training, we can learn about effective communication, effective listening, and maybe it's a 2-hour class. But then we can take some of those things that we learned there, as well as the things that we learned here in Toastmasters, and actually put them into practice. I think we can all say that we have either enhanced, improved, or discovered leadership, communication, and mentoring skills that we may not have known we had. So thank you. And with that, we're going to present you with our Sergeant at Arms is going to present you with a flag. And we hope that we can keep this flag here in this room 107 and not have to cart the one that we do back and forth. So it says, presented to Prince William County Government in appreciation, June 2015, from Prince William County Toastmasters Club, 1973. Thank you.
Oh, no. I had the opportunity to come to a few of your meetings, and I am, as somebody who teaches speech classes, I am very impressed by what you are all doing and by Sharice and Nick, your presentations today. So I am glad to be a part of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
So I know that we've run a little over time. We are usually very good at keeping our meetings from 12 to 1. I'm going to adjourn the meeting now, invite you all to have refreshments. And I just want to invite, I know that you all came to support our members that were receiving awards, but I want to invite you to consider coming back. We meet every payday Thursday right here in this room from 12 to 1. And we would love to have you join us and get a better feel for what we do as Toastmasters. And with that, I'll do my favorite part. We're adjourned.